Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast. This is Nicole Segovia, your host, and this is There's Always More. Today, we're going to be talking about the post-athlete life and some things that I had gone through that were really, really hard and something that I feel like I was not prepared for when it comes to, my athletic life afterward and just the transformation from being an athlete to being just a normal, active person. So I want to talk about basically like my last season. So I played volleyball all 4 years of high school, including competitive. And then I did go on to play at a junior college, which was awesome as well. So total played about 6 years. But the way that my season ended was not the way that I pictured it ever ending. I've always had knee issues. I've had multiple knee injuries. And during my sophomore year at my junior college, turns out that I actually needed surgery. So unfortunately, my season was cut way short, and I did get the surgery, fully, healed from that now. I'm able to return to being as active as I want. But I think I was just really upset because that's obviously not how you plan like your first year, your last year to go. But at the same time, I was still able to support my team, cheer them on, and be at, all the events and games just, the same. So it wasn't all bad, but of course, the competitive person in me and my passion for volleyball, that wasn't the way that I wanted it to end. But where the kicker comes in is my life afterward. It's something that you really can't understand unless you're an athlete or, maybe you're a parent to an athlete. It's just really hard for us to make that transformation because think of it this way, every single day for how many years we do almost the same exact thing. In my case, I go to school, I work, I go to practice. 2 times a week I have games. Some weekends I have games and tournaments. And then, you wake up and you do it all over again. So for me, it was really hard, especially finding my routine because a big part of what I did every day was, I practice, I have weightlifting, I have, team study hall, I have this, I have that. So when that's all taken away from you, it's almost like, okay, well, what exactly am I supposed to be doing right now? Because our whole lives almost have been planned out for us. I didn't really have time to do all these extra things or I guess really find myself all the time because I was always being told what to do. And these are just things that, from my experience, I'm not saying that it's negative all the time, but it's just things that when you go back into, I guess, quote unquote, the real world, it's just really hard to grasp some things because you're not really taught that. So that was one of them. My routine was all out of whack. I had to find out what do I like to do? And that's a big question because all these years I've just been doing the same thing over and over and over again, putting in so much energy and time into this sport. So what's my purpose was another big one. For me, my purpose, I'm competitive. I love playing sports. I still do coach. That's something that I'm very passionate about. I just can't seem to get away from the sport, which is fine with me. I really enjoy it. But it's almost what am I supposed to do now? Because what I've been doing, that part of my life is over. This chapter's ending. So it was very difficult to do that. It took a lot of just soul searching. What do I like? What do I want to do? What other aspirations do I have? What other things have I thought about doing for a long time? Maybe I just haven't done them yet. So I did that a lot. But then at the same time, I had this conversation with my boyfriend the other day. He told me, I've always had this issue with if I'm not super busy doing 1,000 different things, and if you know me, you know that that's just how I am. I'm always doing, a bunch of different types of things. I always have typically more than one job. I just like the hustle and the grind and stuff like that. But at the same time, it wears on me because I feel like I never have time for myself. But on the flip side, I also do it to myself. I don't have to say yes to all these jobs that, present themselves, but I do because A, I always need the money, and B, I just like to be busy. But he brought up a good point in the fact that that's kind of when I begin to lose myself because I don't know how to say no when it comes to people needing my help or, oh, there's a job that you can get this or that from. So he just said you can still be amazing and grind at one thing. You don't have to grind at 30 different things. And I'm you're right. I, for the longest time, have always been a person that just does everything. and wants to do everything. Like, I just love to be involved and doing all that fun stuff. But at the same time, like, it does wear on me. And I'm sure that I'm not the only one that feels this way. So for the first time, actually, a few weeks ago, a job presented itself. And pay is great. It's something that I actually really enjoy doing. And I said no, because it would just be adding another thing to my plate that I don't think I'm ready for, as far as like giving up more of my free time to do this job every single day. So I said no. And it felt actually really good to say no. I've never really been able to like deny a job unless it like didn't actually work with my schedule. But for the most part, I always try to make it work because I want to be helpful and, you know, do the best that I can. But the whole like not being busy thing, I'm definitely better at it now. Like, I have my main focuses every single day, and it's down to like 2 to 3 things instead of, you know, working 2 jobs, being an athlete, still being in school, having, you know, maintaining my own relationships. Like, it's just a lot. So the power of no, it's awesome. But that's something too with my post-athletic life. Like, I had all this free time, so I just filled it with all these different jobs because I was like, well, why not? Like, I have all this time, I don't know what to do with it, I might as well just work. But I was also missing out on regular life because of that. So I just hope that you guys can understand, like, when you have free time, like, take the time to do the soul searching. Go out and do things that you thoroughly enjoy. If it's hiking, go out and do it. If it's going to the beach, just go. Like, you don't have to work every single day of your life. Like, that's not what life is about to me. Like, yes, we need money, but at the same time, like, you also need adventures. You need to go out and, you know, fuel your soul by doing things that you really, really enjoy with people that you enjoy, you know, having along with you. Another thing that was super hard was, like, a food relationship, because when you're an athlete, you're taught to eat for your sport. Like, you know, 2 nights before a game, what do they tell you to eat? Pasta for the carbs, for the energy, and all these things. Well, when you take away all those hours of practice, all those hours of weightlifting, and all the other things, conditioning that we would do, you can't eat the same, because you're going to gain weight, because you're not burning as much as you normally do when you're on, you know, a sports team. Now, I do work out on my own, obviously, but it's not the same, because I would have practice and then weights. Now, I don't know how many calories I would burn, so maybe if I knew the numbers more, I could, you know, still maybe eat the same things. But, you know, my body's changed. When I had surgery, I was out for 3 months. Like, it just, my body is different. So I really had to, like, relearn how to just take care of myself and not feel like I had to be on the top of the top all the time, because it's, like, not everything in life is a competition, right? Like, but coming from an athletic background like that, like, it is. Right? And I know that sounds kind of maybe cliche to some of you, but when your whole life you just compete, like, you always want to be the best, you want to be first, you want to, you know, do this, you know, better than the next person, which in some things you should remain that way, but it's not everything. And I feel like I'm super hard on myself for those exact reasons, because that's the type of mentality that I have. So letting go of some of that recently has been super, super, like, it's just like taking this like weight off my shoulders, and I just feel a lot better, more confident, like happier within myself. And I'm just like, this is my life. Like, this is what I want to do. And that's it. I'm not going to live my life on someone else's terms or push myself harder if I don't really honestly want to. That's not, you know, an enjoyable life to live. But, you know, after all that like negative stuff, at the same time, there was a lot of things that were better for me after my athletic life. For example, I had so much more time to, you know, be with my family and my friends. And that was one of my biggest complaints. Like, I'm not telling you guys to not go out and like play, you know, a collegiate sport, but just know what you're signing up for. Like, you're going to be spending a lot of time, and you're going to miss a lot of events. You're going to miss a lot of things. You're going to regret maybe at the end. I don't really regret it, but I do feel like I would redo some things. I feel like, again, the power of no. It's not, your sport is not your life. Although we make it seem that way, it's not. Like, at the end, in 5 years, the game that I lost, that I was crying over, it's not going to matter. It, honest to God, will not matter. So family and friend time was another, like, big thing that I did enjoy having more of. And then, obviously, more time for myself. Hobbies, I don't really, like, I know people say, like, working out isn't a hobby. Like, to me, it is. Like, I really do enjoy working out. I also just enjoy, like, hanging out with my dogs, or like going on different adventures, things. This podcast, I guess you could say, is a hobby, but I just think of it as something that I thoroughly enjoy to do, and like I love creating content for you guys and speaking my mind. It also allowed me to have more time to work. The paychecks that were bigger were definitely a lot more helpful, so that was super nice. And then the big one, which I saved for last, is like the amount of time and effort that I have now to put into my schooling is much better, because I feel like, yes, when you're an athlete, like they do have, all these amazing resources as far as like you have tutors and you have like I said, team study hall, and you have all these people that are willing to help you, but you're tired because you came from practice to your study hall to then weights. Like, I just feel like I'm able to focus better and put more of my energy into my grades. And on top of that, I'm not missing class because I don't have any tournaments, I don't have any games that I have to leave early for. So, like, again, the athletic life is awesome and it's fun, but there is a lot of things that do come along with it that aren't really ever talked about. And I just feel like a lot of athletes that are no longer playing, like myself, like it was a very hard transition for us, and I feel like it's not really spoken about. And I just wish that this conversation was, like talked about more and understood by other people. I feel like people are like, oh, it's just a sport, like you'll be fine. Like, you have to understand, like, that sport consumed our lives for so long. So when we are having to let that go, it's literally letting go a huge chunk of our lives and like closing that and having to re-find ourselves and reconnect and just find our groove again. And it's not easy. So if you know someone that is recently, finishing a sport or something they've been doing for a really, really long time, just be there for them and try and understand. Maybe ask them, out to do something, maybe go on an adventure. Say like, hey, I've been wanting to do this for a really long time. I haven't done it. I was wondering if you wanted to come along. Like, I just feel like building new friendships too was really fun for me, because I did gain so many people over my years of playing volleyball, and I still am friends with a lot of them. So I'm not, completely upset, but I do feel like looking back, there was a lot that I would go back and change. I guess I just wouldn't be as dramatic about things. Like, I just feel like I took everything so serious, and it's like, life is not that serious. Like, you just need to have fun, enjoy the moment, and not worry about, what's going to happen, in the next season or whatever. Like, just enjoy the season that you're in, because unlike, like me, you might not have another season. So I just feel like I would go back and change that for sure. But once again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. Today is Memorial Day, so I hope you guys have been enjoying your long weekend. And I just also wanted to come on here and say that I will be changing my podcast a bit. So instead of uploading every single Monday, I'm going to do every other Monday. So this is the one today, and then the next one will not be next Monday, but it will be the following Monday. And my reason for doing that is because I just feel like I can create better and more dense content for you guys, because I will have more to talk about, versus doing it every single week on I just feel like I want to have the best, like more amount of time and the best content that I can possibly have. So allowing me to do that is much appreciated. So like I said, today is May 31st. There will be no podcast episode on the 7th, but there will be one on the 14th. So I will see you guys on the 14th of June and on the 28th of June. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday, and never forget that there's always more.